We will be going to focus on how to write a good summary or the précis writing. Précis writing or the summary writing is one of the difficult tasks in any kind of writing. Means there are different ways to write. We write the original piece. We write, articles. We write different kinds of essays and passages. But when we have the somebody's material in front of us and we are asked to summarize it, then it becomes a bit tricky task. So first we are going to focus or discuss what is actually a précis, and it is a basic and very useful skill and has been variously referred to as abbreviation, subtraction, abstract, summary, and condensation. So if somebody asks someone to means abbreviate something or subtract something, it means he or she might be asking to do the précis of that thing or to make the summary of that thing. If somebody says that this is the abstract of his or her work, it means that it is the gist of his work, or you can say the main ideas would be there in the abstract. Similarly, if we say condensation, condensation is another name of précis writing. So students do not get confused while having these words. These words are basically referred to the précis writing. The French gave it the name précis, the pruning away of all that is inessential. So what is the basic meaning of précis? Means removing all the inessential part of the writing, having the only main components or the main ideas within the writing. So, what is a précis? A précis is a brief, original summary of important ideas given in a long selection. Here we have written original. What does it mean? Original means we cannot add on our own ideas within the summary or within a précis. So we need to, jot down all the important ideas which are already given in that selection, in that passage, or in that component of writing. Its aim is to give the general effect created by the original selection. So, what is actually the aim? Why we are asked to write a summary? Because sometimes people do not have enough time to read the whole material all of the way. Means so to better tell others that what is the main idea and what would definitely be discussed in that particular part would be arranged or would be made or would be uh, would be told through the précis writing or a summary, a simple piece of writing which can denote the whole piece of writing in minimum words without losing the main ideas or the originality of that piece. It is a concise and lucid summary that forsakes all the unnecessary details in favor of reproducing the logic, development, organization, and emphasis of the original. Means it's a concise and a very brief piece of writing that forsakes all unnecessary details. It means that removes all unnecessary details in favor of means with the purpose of producing a logic, development, organization, and emphasis of the original. Means the main purpose of the original writing would remain there in a précis, removing all the unnecessary detail. It seeks to articulate another author's thoughts by extracting the maximum amount of information and carefully conveying it in a minimum number of words. Means the basic purpose of writing a summary of a person is to take the work of one's author and extract the maximum amount. Means the main components of the writing would be extract from the source and then convey it in minimum numbers of words. Means in minimum words we if somebody has the skill to produce the original kind of ideas or convey the original ideas in one summarization, so it would be called a good essay. There is a several guide to write a good Pressy. And in intermediate, we were asked to write the summary. In BCom, in BBA, and in mass communication also, the students are asked to write summary. So, what is the basic guideline to write a successful or a good Pressy? Understand the essential facts or dominating ideas of the message. These are the key elements. These are the key things which we should focus on while attempting or while writing a good Pressy. Understand the essential facts or dominating idea of the passage. Once we read the writing or any writing, we should focus on how to extract the main idea. What is the main idea in the writing? This is the very key thing or key element to focus on while reading something for a pressy writing. In your opening sentence, express what the passage tends to show. Means the main idea, or you can say the title, looking towards the title of something or the main idea of the something, the overwhelming idea, which actually covers all the things within the writing. You need to point out that idea in the very first sentence with as few sentences as possible. Enlarge on the essential shown in the opening sentence. You can also use the key elements which are used in the writing in the very first sentence of the essay. Means having the thought of the main ideas in the reading. When you read it, the main ideas would retain in your memory. So you first need to jot down those ideas or those words in first or second sentences. Means first, second, third means the opening sentences. Summarize only what the author says. Do not add your own opinions. This is the one important thing in Pressy, that you don't need to include your idea, because Pressy is meant to, shrink down the ideas of a particular author or the writer. So you are not supposed to add your own ideas within the writing. As far as possible, use your own words instead of using your own ideas, but you are encouraged to use your own words while composing a essay. If you are using your own words, you will be able to have the ideas about the writing in your mind while writing on your own. But if you copy down the words of the author, you will be dependent on the passage which is given to you for Pressy, and your writing will not, will take more words to complete the idea. Ask whether the Pressy is clear to one who has not seen the original. Means the idea behind the Pressy writing is to have the completeness in it. Means you are not supposed to omit any kind of important element which should be there in the Pressy. So if some person reads it without having the original piece in his hand or in her hand, would definitely get the idea behind the writing, behind the Pressy writing, right? So Pressy writing does have a completeness in it. It does not have, incomplete ideas in it, or the author or the reader of the Pressy would have a complete idea that from where the Pressy writing, or on what piece the Pressy has been written, would cover these kinds of elements. Method. So this is the method of writing Pressy. It will be well to remember the object of Pressy writing. Means what is the object? What is the purpose of Pressy writing? To have a brief and clear ideas in it. Means your Pressy writing must be a brief and clear summary of a particular writing, or Pressy of what you have first carefully read. Means whatever you are writing, let's suppose if somebody asks you to tell the story of a movie which you have recently watched, so definitely you will not going to means if the total duration of that movie would be 3 hours. So you won't take 3 hours to dictate the whole story or the whole movie. Rather, you will definitely shrink the part, different, unnecessary scenes, or you will omit the different dialogues, or the less important parts of the story, which are used to show the plot, or the theme of the story, or the movie. So you would definitely compress the idea or the movie into 15 to 20 minutes summary. So this is how we write the Bressy as well. If the piece has 1,000 words, so we are supposed to shrink down it into 50 words. So we need to, one third or one fourth of the original material. So, no words, phrases, clauses, or sentences which are unessential to the thought of the selection are considered. Means in Pressy writing, we omit different words, phrases, and even clauses, or even the sentences which seem unessential to the thought of the selection. Means which seem unessential to the main idea of the writing. If you think that this is one of the example which is given in the writing to support the argument of the author in one direction, so we omit that particular example because it would take definitely different words to compose that idea. Every unnecessary word is discarded until all that you have left is the thought, the dominating idea of what you have read. When you are reading the passage, to summarize it, to make the summary or to make the précis of that thing, so you need to, delete the every other word which seem unnecessary in the précis writing, and which seem that it does not have the direct link with the main idea, and which can be omitted, or which can, if it can be omitted, the idea remains the same. So these unnecessary words should be discarded. Then in your own words, when why we discarded those words, because to have, we just remove the particular words used in the passage to have the main gist of the idea. When we read, we come up with our own ideas. We don't retain the words of the author in our memory for a long time. But what we do have in our mind, the idea behind the writing. So you need to focus on the ideas rather than the words. When you are done with the idea taking of the material, you are now ready to write the summary. Then, in your own words, give this thought as briefly as and clearly as possible. Means whatever the thought you have about the passage, about the reading, now you can compose in a very brief and a clear way. Your sentences must be carefully constructed. Means you are supposed to give the maximum information in minimum words. The last thing, which is not the least, is do not omit any essential articles, preposition, or conjunction. This is one of the tricky thing in the Pressy writing, that do not omit any essential articles. Means when we are writing something, so in as a summary, we count different words. So in counting, obviously and like of, or these kinds of words do also come in counting. So we, in making the brief structures of the writing, we just remove these articles. However, it might be possible that removing these articles or preposition or conjunctions, or the very small words, if we removing these words may lead the ambiguity of the writing. Means it may make your writing unclear, make your summary vague, make your summary unclear or make your summary possibly having no idea in it. So you do not need to omit these kinds of essential things if you're writing. So compose the proper kind of sentences. Okay, now this is the whole procedure of writing summary. How can we write summary? First of all is giving the writing a first read. Read every word slowly and carefully. And we can say that scan the material. There's two ways of reading, scanning and skimming. So here we need to do the scanning. We need to use each and every word to have the idea of the writing until you clearly understand the sense of the passage. So you need to focus on each and every word. Look up all unfamiliar words, phrases, and allusions. Means there could be different kinds of words and the phrases and different kinds of construction which may be unfamiliar to you. So you need to focus on those words as well. If you have, if you are not in the examination center, you should you should refer those words in dictionary. And if you are in the examination hall, you can take the help of context to get the idea of those words which are not familiar to you. Identify the dominating idea, the essential thought of the passage. Ask if this idea were omitted or if that idea this idea was omitted, would the fundamental meaning of the passage be changed? Means you need to focus on different elements when you are reading, when you are focusing. Certain things or certain ideas do come in your mind that whether the this sentence is very important, and sometimes the idea comes in your mind that this is the very least important thing which the writer has mentioned in the writing, and this can easily be removed if we compose the précis, because you have the purpose of reading in your mind. When you have a purpose in your mind before reading, so you can focus on the things which are necessary to be done while reading, while doing a particular thing, right? So whenever you are focusing on any particular idea which is given in the writing, you should have a question in your mind that this the fundamental thing, or or this can be removed while composing the essay. Determine what emphasis and space to give the thought in each section. Write a heading for each section. Let's suppose a writing is given to you and it has multiple paragraphs in it. So what can you do? You can make the titles of those particular paragraphs. Let's suppose in the last classes, on the previous classes, we discussed how to make the topic sentences. So let's suppose you are reading a particular paragraph or the body paragraph of something which you are on which you are going to write the summary. So on a particular paragraph must have a particular idea. So you need to focus on that particular idea, and you need to mention that in that particular passage or in that particular paragraph this particular idea has been discussed. So you can make a heading, you can make a sentence. You can do the things like that on your own. This is how the most of the people do for summary writing. If you people have a particular idea before for composing a good summary writing, you can adopt your own. But this is the most effective strategies we can adopt for summary writing. Okay, now after the first reading, you need to read second time, and this would be called the second reading. Now, what you need to do for the second reading is underscore with a pencil the important facts containing the essential thoughts. This is a process of differentiation between what is essential and what is not. Generally, you will omit examples, illustration, conversations, and repetitions. Now, in the second writing, first you have read the material and you have got the main idea. You have made, topic sentences or the title. You have given the title or to each passage. If the writing has multiple paragraphs, and if the writing is composed on one paragraph, so there is no need to give the title because the main idea remains in your mind. Now, in second reading, you need to have a pencil in your hand so that you can underline, you can extract those lines which are important than the other writings, than the other sentences. And most of the time, what the students or what the people do for summary writing is that they omit examples, illustration, conversation, and repetition, or you can say the supporting details of the argument. You need to more focus on the arguments rather than the supporting details. Means supporting details are given to support the particular argument. So you need to focus that the author or the writer has focused on this and that element as his or her argument, rather than focusing on the illustration of that particular argument. Reread your selection to see that they are wise and adequate. When you have selected the particular material or you have underlined particular material in the writing, that these are the important lines and these ideas should not be omitted in the writing. So what you need to do is you have to reflect upon your own selection. Means selection would be definitely figure out that whether you have selected the right material or not. Probably you might have selected some kind of extra kind of sentences which may seem sorry, inessential to you, so you can omit it afterward. So rereading is also good for the for your for giving the thought on your own selection. Determine if your underscoring expresses the main ideas. After underlining the main ideas or the selected you have select, or whether if you have selected the different material or different sentences in different paragraphs, so now you have to focus that whether the selection is appropriate, whether the selection represent the main ideas, or if you compose your summary on the basis of these main ideas, so would it be appropriate, would it be adequate, would it cover all the important points in the writing or of the writing. So you need to focus on, means you need to again and again reflect upon your selection. Now, final reading. This would be, rapidly and instantly reread the origin. Now, we reread it means this is the third time we are reading the material. So, dwelling on the important facts selected for our present. Now, you need to rapidly and intensely reread the origin. Means now you are focusing on the original document and just focus on, yes, these are the important things, I have figured out the right material from the final. So this is how you can compose a good summary. Now, rules of making a précis means what are the things you can take care of while composing the summary. um, there are different particular rules or regulations, or you can say that there are different kinds of tips you can do while making a summary. Read carefully. First of all, read carefully. First, read 2 to 3 times. At least 2 to 3 times, you must read the passage carefully, or the material which is given to you for summary. You need to read it at least 2 to 3 times to understand the main thing. Why we read it 2 to 3 times? Because we just need to focus on the main theme, the main ideas of the message passage. So if we are not able to get the main idea in just one reading, so we definitely need second time to read it. And this is how, at least 2 to 3 times give a read. Underlining. Now, important ideas and essential points should be marked. We should focus on means whenever we are reading for the second time when we read the passage, we need to underline the essential points and essential parts or essential claims, essential arguments of the writer. How we can do the outline of this? With the help of underlined ideas, draw the outline of your précis. Let's suppose in the third writing, or in the second read, we have underlined different materials or different components of the reading material or different part of the reading material to figure out the important components of the writing. So now we are able to make the outline or the structure means you can remember the outlining which we have done there in the process writing. So we can make the outline of means how we can summarize, how we can recompose these things. Omissions. Now, what kind of things you can omit while my writing the summary? Omit all the unnecessary information or the long phrases which could be replaced by one word. All the adjectives and the adverbs can also be omitted in order to make a good phrase. Obviously, why the adjectives are used to show the quality of something. Why the adverbs are used to show the to modify the verbs, adverbs. It means these are the extra words which shows which are meant to exaggerate the text, which are meant to make the wordiness in the writing. But here, while composing the précis, we need to use minimum words. So we do omit these kinds of words. Most often, people do remove these kinds of words, extra words like adjectives and words. We cannot remove, different kinds of words because we should take the help of words in order to show the proper meaning of the sentences. So the unnecessary information which have the long phrases, exaggeration, and one thing is being discussed again and again in the writing. And there is a one argument in one paragraph, and to claim that argument, the writer has given different example, 2 to 3 examples. So there isn't any need to show all the examples in the précis, and even we can omit all the examples. Do not omit. What to not omit means when we are focusing on when we are reading to figure out different kinds of ideas or the important ideas. So what not to omit in the text? Important points and ideas which are essential to describe must not be omitted. Means we should take care that any important point or the idea does not remain selected. Means it does not remain unselected. Sorry. So we need to focus that every essential component of the writing or essential point must be selected in outlining or when we are underscoring it. Size. What is the actual size of the passage? Whenever you are writing, whenever you want to write a summary, you need to make it one third of the original passage. So you need to shrink it down in that much that the size of the writing uh, uh, shrink into one third. One thing is students do that they themselves write in small writing so that the writing seems shorter. This is the very I can say that this is one of the bad practice we do, because the main thing is to shrink down your words, not your writing style. You need to shrink down your writing your words in order to, because we count the words in summary writing. We don't see that means your paragraph is composed on 3 lines or 4 lines or 5 lines, but rather what is the counting of the words, means the original was passage, what is the counting of the original passage, and what is the counting of the of the summary. Word counting. Okay, now the indirect speech. Always, this is a must thing that a précis must be written in indirect speech. So you cannot add the dialogues in it. You cannot say that. Let's suppose if the writing has the direct speech in it, that so and so person has said or said, and the quotation is there. You are not supposed to write those words as it is in the writing. You can give the reference that the person, the author has given the reference of different philosophers or different researchers or different programmers. Let's suppose this, but you are not asked. You are not you are not directed to write indirect speech in press. Tense and person. What kind of tense we use in rest? Most of the time, the pressy writing is written in the third person, by having the third person pronoun, and also we use the past tense in pressy writing. In case of universal truth, if the universal truth is there, it must be written in present tense. Own words. Whenever we are composing the précis, a précis should be written in your own words, and the writer should abstain from borrowing words from the original passage. So one needs to focus on writing, on using his or her own words rather than taking the very main the lines. Even some students do this, that they take the whole sentence as it is from the passage or the direct passage to the summary. So this is the very wrong practice. A summary cannot, or a summary will not definitely be called a good summary if it has the same words which is there in the main original piece. Okay, now the objective approach. A pressy writer should adopt an objective approach in it. He should not add his own personal ideas to a pressy. A logical order must also be followed. What does it mean, objectivity? Objectivity means whatever the idea is there in the writing of, definitely the ideas would be of author. So you just need to summarize his or her idea. You are not supposed to add your own ideas in the writing, of summary, because you are making the summary of a particular piece. So it cannot be, it cannot have the ideas of in fact any other person. So the only the ideas of the author which actually is there in the original piece would be there in the summary also. We cannot give our own ideas, and we cannot even add any others ideas in the summary of any particular piece. One paragraph. There could be multiple paragraphs in the original text. We have already discussed it that a writing can have multiple pieces, or the original piece can have multiple pieces. And if we are directed to write the summary of that kind of writing, so we are not supposed to write in different paragraphs. We are supposed to write these paragraphs. We have to compose a particular paragraph of the whole kind of given material. Means the origin if the original material has the particular writing, means a particular writing does have a different paragraph, means five paragraphs or the four paragraphs. You are not supposed to make four or five paragraphs for summary. Means each paragraph may have a particular paragraph in summary also. No, this is not done in the summary writing. You have to make a single paragraph of summary whenever you are directed to write a summary, whether the original piece do have whether the original piece has multiple paragraphs or a single paragraph. Rough draft. After omitting all the unnecessary ideas, the writer should prepare a rough draft to finalize it. Means a rough draft must be presented, or must be done before finalizing the summary. After that, you can finalize it. Having read the rough draft and pointed out some mistakes which may be found in rough draft, the writer can prepare the final draft. Means when you have the rough draft in your hand, you can point out the mistakes in your writing. Probably you have omitted any article in it, you have done some punctuation, you might have done some punctuation mistake in it, so you can rectify it before finalizing the final draft. Here is one sample. You can have the idea that how we can make the summary. I'm just reading it. It is physically impossible for a well-educated intellectual or brave man to make money the chief object of his thoughts, just as it is for him to make his dinner the principal object of them. All healthy people like their dinners, but their dinner is not the main object of their life. So, all healthy minded people like making money ought to like it and enjoy the sensation of winning it. It is something better than money. A good soldier, for instance, mainly wishes to do his fighting well. He is glad of his pay, very properly so, and justly grumbles when you keep him 10 years without it. Till his main mission of life is to win battles, not to be paid for winning them. So, of clergymen, the clergyman's object is essentially baptize and preach, not to be paid for preaching. So of doctors, they like fees, no doubt, ought to like them. Yet, if they are brave and well educated, the entire object of their lives is not fees. They, on the whole, desire to cure the sick, and if they are good doctors and the choice were fairly to them, would rather cure their patient and lose their fee than kill him and get it. And so with all the other brave and lightly trained men, their work is first, their fee second, very important always, but still second. Now, after reading this, I do have a idea. I do have a brief kind of idea about this. So, how we can make it? We can make in this way. We can make the main points. We can have the main points. We can if we can we can give the title to the both paragraphs. Money making is a common attraction in life, but it cannot be the principal aim of well educated intellectual brave person. This is what given in the second paragraph. So how we can write the précis? Now this is the précis of the whole message. Money making is a common attraction in life, but it cannot be the principal aim of well educated, cultured, and brave men. A brave soldier prizes honor and victory more than his pay. A good clergyman is more interested in the moral welfare of his people than his return. A doctor, obviously a good doctor, values the care of his patient far more than his fees. Thus, with all the well educated intellectual persons, their work is first, money next. So this is how we can compose our précis. um, précis writing is one of the difficult tasks, obviously, and we can make the précis in this way, by pointing out the main point and then end up with a brief writing.